How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books. It's found on the battlefield. Dig it. All right. What's up, Warriors? This is Rick from the Warriors Way Mindset. We are doing the Battlefield of the Mind podcast, and we are hanging out with one of our head coaches, Druss Salmon, all the way in Australia. And so this guy, we have had a solid year together. Coming up like in a week, we'll be up on our 1 year jam-iversary, and so pretty excited, man. We've had a pretty good run so far, huh?
We have. It's been a long year. It's definitely been a year of ups and downs, but I still remember when I first talked to you, and I was on the brink. And I was on the brink of believing all of these horrible, horrible things about myself, like you're ADHD, you're bipolar, all these things that people had in me and told me that I am. And I remember one of our best moments, you just fucking laughed. You just laughed at me.
I cracked up at you. I started laughing my ass off right in your face. You were at the brink of tears because of the way this diagnosis was, and I just started cracking up right in your face. And I still remember the look in your, like, because you were like, this cracking up at me, like, with no explanation yet. So what the heck was going on in your mind with that?
I can't even remember, but I think at first I was like, is this guy for fucking real? Like, I'm calling up for help and he's just laughing at me. Then I'm like, wait, he's laughing because this shit is stupid. Like, it's just bananas. Why am I believing all of these horrible things that these people have taught me or have told me and tried to put into my system? And I think my first big step towards was that.
Yeah, it was an awesome moment. Like, I'm still proud of the moment just because of how far your evolution has come since then. But I remember you telling me, like, the system that was, like, it happened. Like, you know, my stepdad talked to somebody who heard, like, how their interpretation of you is, that gave an example of a diagnosis of what it could be. And I was like, that's not how that works at all. That had me cracking up. And once I explained it to you, man, it was very cool to watch both of us then start laughing.
It was good. It was good. I think it was the first time I'd laughed in a couple of months, at least.
Yeah, since then, like, we've done so much work on belief systems, man. Like, we talk about beliefs a lot, especially limiting beliefs. And you almost got held captive by a set of limiting beliefs from somebody who talked to somebody who watched a thing on WebMD and transposed the information over to you in their own interpretation, and that almost became your identity.
It was close. It was definitely close.
What is in this last year? What do you think about belief systems for us, man?
Man, I think it's interesting. I didn't think much about belief systems before, and I'd done a lot of PD work, and I'd done a lot of researching, read a lot of books, and I'd never really come across a system concept. But it really is the core of everything. Like, once I really went into it, all of those beliefs that form your identity, whether you believe you are or you believe you aren't, you're 100% correct. And I almost fell down that rabbit hole of, like, yeah, I am these things and believing it and taking on those traits, like especially the ADHD thing. So a big one of the ones that people were trying to put into me was, you're ADHD, you're ADHD. And then you've got this TikTok fad, I guess you could say, where people are coming through, they're telling everyone they're ADHD, these are the symptoms. And the crazy thing is, once I started to learn that I had some of the similar symptoms, I took on more of the others. And I fell down the rabbit hole of actually behaving like I was ADHD until someone, Rick, kicked me out of the cycle.
I see it all the time. It's actually frustrating how, like, I'm happy to, but I have people break out of this stuff all the time. I've been taking people off of medication, especially with anxiety, because once you learn how that works, we just put out a low ticket offer on this to help the first 100 people that grab it. I'm teaching how to beat it, and we've already been just breaking people out and giving their power back, where they're like, I don't need the medication anymore because I don't have the problem there. It's so awesome. And the same thing with you is going, like, I heard the diagnosis, so I started acting accordingly. And like that was close, man, when you were like, well, if that's what I am, then I should start acting that way, right? And is it like
Hmm.
subconscious? Or you like, no, you know what? I'm gonna start acting like ADHD, or did it become like these are the symptoms and it explains my behavior?
Oh no, it was definitely conscious. Like I just decided I wanted to be fucked up. Like no, no, it was definitely subconscious. It worms its way in slowly. And at the time, I also didn't know who was trying to tell me you are a bunch of these different things. And I remember even a couple of months into the relationship, I do this thing where anytime I walked past a bench, I'd like tap a couple of times. And not all the time, maybe 60% of the time. I just like tapping on shit. She's like, oh, that's the sign of OCD, right? I think you might have OCD. I didn't realize she was doing this the entire relationship, telling me, trying to diagnose me with these little things and tell me who I was, letting me define, hey, this is me. This is my authenticity. I can take it or leave it.
It's crazy how people will just throw like I watched a thing on TikTok and that's you.
Hmm.
It's actually funny. Let's look up multiple versions. Let's have some fun here. So, I looked up bipolar disorder because I just want to pull up just internet stuff so that way we can see like what are other people just looking up. So it's not like I'm not pulling up my real sources. Let's just pull up some bullshit. Let's see what I have here. I got NHS. I don't know. Let's see what this is a mental health thing for nhs.uk. So the UK thing. All right, symptoms of bipolar disorder is depression and mania. So let's go down this list and see if like any of these are like, oh man, I might have that. Are you ready? Feeling
Hmm.
sad or irritable most of the time, lacking energy, like being tired, uh, concentrating and remembering things, loss of interest in everyday activities, feeling of emptiness and worthlessness, feelings of guilt and despair, feeling pessimistic about everything, having self doubt, having disturbed or logical thinking, lack of appetite, difficulty sleeping, waking up early, and suicidal thoughts. So, with most of these, I wonder what the difference from just this nation, like this list, versus stress.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I'm like, this is
And
like the same
I
list.
think that's the problem with a lot of psychology diagnoses is that so many of them cross-reference other diagnoses and symptoms. So for me, I was experiencing a lot of those symptoms, but I was in a situation where I was constantly under attack. I was
Hmm.
constantly in the place that should have been my safe space. I was under attack and my body was being undermined, and I was having physical things thrown at me in my home. Now, that's not necessarily bipolar, you know? Once you look at the situation that a person is in, you can go, okay, this isn't who you actually are. This is a symptom of your environment. And maybe you should change your environment before you start taking medication for
It can't
bipolar.
be. It cannot be your environment. Trust. It is only inside of yourself. All right, let's cross-reference what you just said with stress symptoms. So I just pulled up
Hmm.
this one from mind.org. All right, irritable, angry, or impatient, or wound up, overburdened or overwhelmed, anxious, nervous, afraid, thoughts that your thoughts are racing and you feel like you can't switch them off, unable to enjoy yourself, going back to like depression stuff, feeling depressed, uninterested in life, like you've lost your sense of humor, a sense of worried, intense, neglected, and lonely. Existing mental health problems getting worse. Let's see, signs of stress like uh, this gets tricky: blurred eyesight or sore eyes, sleep problems, fatigue, muscle aches and headaches, chest pains, high blood pressure, sweating. Like it's like here's what I think I'm having a hard time with this. If you look at like some of these, this is just like everyday stuff, anyways.
Hmm.
Like,
Bipolar and more.
yeah, so like stress, I have stress, so this means my stress levels are through the roof. I bet if we look up anxiety, we'll see very similar commonalities, and then we look up bipolar, and it's got all this, and this is manic and depressed. I bet we can find something different on this. Now, let's see, what are the top three bipolar symptoms? This one says abnormally upbeat, jumpy or wired, and increased activity and or agitation, exaggerated sense of well-being and self-confidence. So if anybody just thinks you're being too much by their judgment, whether you're too sad or too jumpy into a beat, any exaggerated, sense of energy, I guess, whether it be agitation or whether it be, I'm upbeat, you may have bipolar. So if you're too happy or if you get bigger than I think you should.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty tough, right? So if I'm
Mm-hmm.
too happy, I could be bipolar.
Yep. Like, what if you're just having a good day? You're
Having a
having a
good
good day.
day. Shit.
Yeah. Oh, you're bipolar.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Damn. You're dancing in the kitchen. You don't normally dance in the kitchen. You know what that means?
What?
You're bipolar.
Fuck.
Fuck, man.
I haven't been sleeping that well, man. We've had a lot of stuff going on at work, and me and my girl were having some communication. What does that mean?
No, I think you're bipolar.
Shit. Because I looked it up, man, but it could be stress. Is it stress?
And look, maybe,
Uh-huh.
but you can't get medicated for stress, so maybe you should go see a psychiatrist. That'll help you out. Get back to normal.
So I should get I need medicine.
You need medicine.
I definitely, yeah, because stuff is stressful. I definitely don't have to work on my communication because I can't because I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
Because I'm
You're
exaggerated
stuck with
on either
this.
side. So this is who I am.
Yep.
So if I ever start doing any shit that's like I start getting hyped up in any way, it's not my fault.
No, you don't have to take accountability for anything because you're bipolar.
Thank you. That makes me feel a lot better because it's almost like better knowing that I have this. And so now when I do what I do, it gives me at least an explanation would be so agitated, why I get so angry, some of the reasons why I may have highs and lows in my day. It's definitely not, I don't think it's any of the environment thing you mentioned. I think it's more this.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder
100%.
how much my doctor would challenge this.
Probably not much.
Hmm.
Not much. You know what? This also means that like if you beat your wife, it's just your bipolar. You're just having a swing. It's not your fault.
And if she's like football spiking the things that you guys love that are breakable, it's not her fault, man.
No.
What happened to her? You should stick around because that's not your fault. So if you're getting stuff thrown at you, maybe it's because maybe your lack of dodging makes you bipolar because you had a loss of interest for dodging things. These are rough, man. One thing I also saw, I was also researching too. When you I'm not going too far into dark triad stuff, but like that's anything from Machiavellianism, psychopathy, narcissism. What's funny is I was also researching how it's not diagnosed like you're a psychopath. Even though that may be what it is, they're not going to diagnose you. That it'll be a form of diagnosed as bipolar disorder. And so I also noticed that too. I was like, they don't diagnose it straight up as psycho. They diagnose it as bipolar disorder. That also makes it a little confusing too.
What's interesting is that because they can't really diagnose someone that's dark triad as dark triad because it would set them off?
It's possible. Also, if you do have the psychology behind, like you said, if you give me a diagnosis and I start acting accordingly, calling you a psychopath may not be a good thing to act out aggressively. Even if it's not, but you're diagnosed as psychopath and they start doing really, really dangerous behavior.
Enjoy that in your home.
Yeah, let's call it bipolar disorder is better. Let's just say that. So it's really tough, man. It's really tough. I've also seen other ones too where it just explains just mean behavior. Like when people are just like angry or just upset or they just lash out. And it's kind of like all over the place. If you're looking at this thing, this is everything from like super happy, super angry, no energy, lots of energy, not interested in doing stuff, very over agitated about everything and stuff. Like it seems like it's just almost every emotion is covered here on like all sides. Because if I'm like really excited, I could be bipolar. But if I'm like pissed off, I could be bipolar. And It doesn't really seem middle area that doesn't count. So shit.
Well, it's interesting because like those swings are part of life. And especially if you're going through a rough patch in your relationship, that's just going to be sometimes how that comes out. Sometimes you're going to be low, you're having a fight. Sometimes you're going to be high, you're having a good day. But if you have someone there telling you, hey, you're bipolar, to try and control you and to fit into their version of what they think you should be, then the system gets broken.
Yeah. Because it becomes manipulation at that point.
Mm-hmm.
This is people's reality, bro. Like, we pull people out of this all the time. We go like, let's test it out. Let's see if it's real. And when we tested out, it was just like, no, during that time, like, my mom passed away, or, I just lost my job, or my wife and I were getting a divorce, or, just whatever it is. There's some extreme moment, some big loss, or some massive change happening. And that definitely can't be a part of what's going on here.
No, absolutely not.
No, that's
But
not a part of it.
what we do here as well is before we even look at any of that stuff, we go, let's deal with the loss. It's the loss first before we can actually work and decode the system. Because your loss will corrupt everything else. Your loss will feed into, as you can see in the map behind Rick there, your loss will feed into your feelings and it will cause doubt, it will cause fear, it will cause depression. You need to go through the stages and the emotions before you can really start to look at, hey, maybe there's something else going on. Maybe I am this thing, because the loss will make that manifest.
Let me ask you, man. When we work through people's grieving systems, like you just talked about, is it like as easy as take a pill?
Fuck no.
Well, why do you think so many people want pills?
Mm-hmm.
It takes work. It takes time. If also, let's take into account too. If we cure somebody, how much more money do we make from healthy people?
We don't make any more money. So why would you cure them?
Maybe, right. Not saying anything, but it does seem like what we do isn't very good for our business. It's a good thing so many people are misdiagnosed. And it's interesting with the belief systems how people will take. Somebody called me something that they saw online. Somebody said I'm a narcissist, which 99% of the time is not accurate. There are narcissists. That's a real thing. But people will misdiagnose. And if I have to be very open with you, the people who have been called narcissists the most are usually with one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They will use their own shorts and blame them on you.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're
And then,
manipulating and isolating you, they're going to say, well, I'm the one with all the friends, and you're the one who's trying to make me not see them, when really they don't have any friends, and they're trying to keep you locked into the basement of the radiator, like.
mm-hmm. And if you guys want a quick test that you can do right now to know whether you're a narcissist or not, if you hear that term and someone's calling you a narcissist, they're like, you're a fucking narcissist. If you sit there and you seriously think and you're like, maybe I'm a narcissist, and you start evaluating all of the things that you do, I'm not saying it's 100%, but chances are you're probably not a narcissist.
You're probably
you can
not,
self-reflect.
a narcissist, the first thing would be like, well, it's not my fault that happened. These other people, I mean, if it's them, it's not me. It's definitely not me at all. It's going to be this person and them because of this. And if I wouldn't have to do that if they didn't, zero accountability, zero, like absolute zero.
No,
but it will
unless
be
it
happening
benefits
to
them.
you. It happens to them. That's for sure. Like it's so funny. I mean, we can go down the rabbit hole on it, but there's a lot of misdiagnoses, like, especially Enneagram 8s. I've had to pull a lot of people out of Enneagram 8s, the challenger types, because they're so aggressive and can be pretty mean for their defense style.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I think he's definitely a narcissist. I'm like, no, that one's just hurt. Difference. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum. So they think because somebody's mean or aggressive or they're yelling or they're telling someone to go fuck themselves, that they're a narcissist. And I'm like, that's the other side. This is somebody who's hurt. That's not the same. A narcissist wants to get you isolated and alone so that way they can feed on you like a parasite. They don't want you having a support system. They want to be the center of the universe for you. They're going to give you the dreams. They'll fulfill all the love. They'll be all you ever need. You don't need that friend. They're toxic. You don't need to talk to that
Mm-hmm.
parent because you know that they've never really appreciated you like I do. You should stay with me. I've got you. Besides, nobody's going to want you with what your baggage is anyway. So I'm definitely the best thing for you, and I'll be there for you forever and give you the best life you've ever wanted, and better than you dreamed of. Just me and you and me only. And they want to get you isolated, fill you with the story, and then when you're alone, they'll start tearing you down. And Enneagram 8 is like, you can go fuck off. Like, get the fuck out then. It's the opposite. They'll like, then get away.
Mm-hmm. You know, the funniest thing that I've found about Enneagram 8s since I've started doing the coaching,
What's that?
Enneagram 8s are the biggest sweethearts.
Mm-hmm.
Like underneath it all, they're the ones that want to help the most. The ones that will bring you in, take you under their wing, and be like, "Hey, you're the guy. I want to help you." Like I saw it with you. I've seen it with Luke. I've seen it with Craig.
Mm-hmm.
And like underneath it all, y'all just want people to be happy and bring them in and be like, "Yo, let me help you." But Enneagram 8s are creative, so they've gone through a lifetime of torture to get to where they're at, and being
It's
able to pull those defenses down is almost impossible.
underneath the tough armor and the exterior and the attack first, ask questions later exterior of an Enneagram 8, a challenger type, is usually a hurt kid. Like it's just a hurt kid. And I'm not getting into like your inner child stuff. I just mean like a lot of times it's a lot of child behavior if you get
Mm-hmm.
underneath it. You know, the temper tantrums, the lash out, the name calling, the hitting, the pull hair, the go hide your things in the sandbox. You know, like the things that have happened that will do. A lot of times it's going to be a defense that's mimics young kid behavior for when things aren't in their control, and it's really centered around trying to be perceived as strong as possible because it's a little kid that just wasn't loved very much.
Mm-hmm. Well, from you, for any Enneagram 8s that may be listening, what was the, let's say, two biggest things that helped you along your healing journey?
Two biggest things that helped me on my healing journey. All right, the first one's gonna sound like bullshit. It's gonna sound like it's nonsense. There's two big things, that two awareness moments. Um, One of the ones is I'm with Andrea, so we have five girls in this house, and let's just say none of them have ever understood like the Sparta that I grew up in. So I grew up in Detroit, tough area, and like there's a lot of people that I grew up with. I just recently connected with a guy who he's like I tell my family the stories of where we grew up, and they're like, that can't be real. Like it's no, it was really kind of fucked. Like it wasn't a good area at all. And so when you grow up in a tough area like that, this is why I can relate well with guys who have PTSD, like soldiers, people in abusive homes, guys who grew up in the hood, like just tough environments. And being able to relate to like you understand what it's like to kind of have like that battlefield mindset all the time, that Spartan mentality. And so when I explain those things, they don't get it. And so whenever I would have any type of aggression, my level 1 or 2 to them was like 100. And I'm like, this isn't even me angry, but they can't deal. And so one of the things that I decided I was going to do is I learned that we have to be as men, like be a safe place for our girls. I just so you know have no clue what the fuck that meant. Like I did not know what be a safe place at all. I've never seen it. I'd never seen it done. I didn't have an example of it. I didn't know what that meant. So I had to try and figure out what that was. What I ended up doing was really trying to alter my dialect. So one time Andrea and I were arguing and we recorded it. I put the recorders on. I was like, let's hear how this goes. And I thought I was being the nice one. And then I listened to the recording and I sounded a lot like how my dad did when we were growing up. Rough Spartan talk that it's just a mean cadence, like really tough. And when I heard that back, I was like, that is not the type of cadence. It's not the type of tone that I want to have. And I was like, I have to chill that out. So I really did start practicing a different dialect. I had to learn how to speak differently. This means I had to change my tone quite a bit. So let's see. Let me try to go back to my old tone. It would be like, so what are you doing? Why is that? Did you leave this stuff here on purpose? Like, those are regular questions. If you take all the tone out, like, hey, so what are you doing? Hey, did you
Mm-hmm.
leave this stuff out on purpose? Like, those are regular questions, but you throw in that, like, what is this doing here? Like, it sounds like that's pretty, like, oh, fuck. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they get into it. We're going to start arguing soon. And
Sounds like you're about to
so
punch me.
I wasn't, though. We're on other opposite continents. So, anyways, yeah. Let me see if I can do it. Let me see if I can get a punch here. Oh, I'm just playing. All right. So, in any case, I'm sitting here and I start practicing different dialects. And what's funny about that, this wasn't because I was forced to. This is something I chose to do. Very important. She didn't go, you better start speaking differently. I realized I'm not speaking the way that the kind of man I want to be is. And so when I started doing that, let's just say it got weird. You know, we've had a lot of our guys do this too who speak hard Spartan and they have to learn how to speak like the merchants, the dancers, the painters that they have in their house.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's just say we have some tough moments. One thing I'll suggest, fellas, don't go falsetto. That's how the ladies talk to babies. Oh, so cute. It's so adorable. Like they'll go really high pitched.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Keep your bass. Keep the bass in your voice. You can still be cool without having to sound like you're like hitting the highest registers of your voice box. Don't do that. It doesn't go well. It takes away a lot of authority that you have, even in your kindness. So it's not received. So don't go like, hey, honey, what's going on? Like, good. But I also tried even like listening to radio voices and shit like that. And you can mess that up pretty easy too. If I was like, and good morning, girls. How is everything going for you? Oh, good day at school. Are we excellent? Well, that gets weird too.
Yeah, I'd be like, why are you talking like a freak?
Because I'm really trying not to hurt your feelings, and it seems like other ways I speak authentically freaks you out.
This one's worse. Stop.
Yeah, see? Can't go that route
Mm.
either. So you got to find some center ground on this. So I really did have to learn how to kind of slow it down and just soften the tone. And so I'll be like, "Hey, how was your day today? Yeah, that's awesome. What was the best part of your day?" You know, also type 8s really enjoy swearing a lot. And so saying fuck, for example, is a term of endearment for a type 8. And so to standard personality types, it's actually a trust thing. It makes it so like if you're willing to step outside of the conventional fake box, it means I trust you more. It's interesting for that type. And so I can read when I'm reading certain people, there's certain ones I don't really swear that much for. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
people that I'll swear openly with. And it's almost like that's the confidence builder that this is my guy. It's actually really funny. But I learned how to do that. So my girls was the first one. It's a long story. Second one, ironically, I did not ever see coming. And I don't give any cares if you don't like it. Not you, but people listening. It actually was something I didn't expect. It was faith. There was a spirituality part to it, and I actually went a direction that I did not expect to be. I went hard psychology. I went hard philosophy. I thought that it was all supposed to be me. And so when I was sorting through all of my traumas, all of my pain, all of the abandonment, the rejections, like all my mountain of pain, when I would go through that, I had everything labeled, everything compartmentalized, and it was all put in its perspective bends. I knew exactly what it
Mm-hmm.
was, and I knew where it came from. I knew what it was supposed to be for the answers, but I still had this mountain of organized like bullshit. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I missing? I've done all the things. I did all the things like the therapy and psychology and counseling and what it says. It suggested the coaching perspectives, the meditation, the journal. I did all the stuff. I'm doing all the things, and it's still there. I don't know what else to do with this. I did all the philosophies and the stoicisms, and I did all the stuff. I'm reading the books, and it's still there. It says let it go, but it's still there. Let it go to what? And when I ended up leaning in on God, this is where I was like, you know what? I don't, I don't know God. Like, I don't get the thing. I don't understand. I don't know what the point is. What do you got? I'm surrendering. What do you got? And he was like, your mountain to me is less than a grain of sand. So give it to me. And I'm like, that's really? It's like, yeah, give me your mountain. I said, all right, fine. And like, it was like 4 a.m. I'm laying in bed. My girl's sleeping next to me, and I'm just like, all right, go ahead. And just, it really did feel like a large stepped off my chest. It was like the first time I'd breathed correctly in like 30 years. I was like, what? No, that can't be the answer. Now, I'm not saying it has to be the same God as me, but I do know that a form of spirituality and faith and energy or whatever it may be, there's something there that releasing it in some other way that's not just some I'm the one who's the boss way. There was something to it for me, and that really like softened me up quite a bit because I wasn't holding on to all of my trauma. I knew what it was, but I wasn't holding on to it anymore. I could give it away. And that really became powerful for me to have a lot more patience in my day because now I had a lot more room before my cup was filled. And so when my girls would do their shenanigans, which I got teenage girls, I got 3 teenage girls, man. Shenanigans is just a part of the day. And this means like I never know whose bad attitude is coming in. Hey, how are you today? Ugh. I'll be like, it's your day. Okay. So that's a little bit long-winded for like what it was. Now, to get to the
No, you're
highest
good.
level, to let go of all that shit, and what does it look like for a
Mhm.
type 8 to actually be a healthy 8? I just did the podcast with Andrew and showed him what that was. And this is where I had to say, like, to go Super Saiyan as an 8 means you have to actually reverse your entire security system to be okay with being vulnerable. To a
Mhm.
type 8, that's not, that cannot be the answer. Being tough, being strong, not showing weakness, that's the answer. You're like, no, man, being able to look at somebody and say, hey, let me give you my heart. Let me open up to you. I believe in you.
Mhm.
I'm proud of you. Like, I love the time that we have together. You're important to me. Saying I love you. Like, these are things that, like, even taking a compliment, these guys struggle.
See, I
That,
think those
that was
like
it.
last two things that you brought up, they're important for everyone, all Enneagram types. So like for you guys that don't know, I'm an Enneagram type 4, and my second number is 8. So I'm actually a 4-wing 3-5, in almost equal amounts. And one of my biggest battles, like you remember, was the ability aspect as well. And a lot of us, like for me personally, I went through my childhood, I went through my life where vulnerability was taken advantage of. And when you expose those parts of yourself, you get stabbed in the back. They will weaponize it against you. And it took me quite a while until, even with the guys here, I was able to open up and I was able to be like, hey, here are the deepest parts of myself. And there was a meeting where I cried in front of everyone and had the biggest vulnerability hangover. I was like, I just fucked everything up, everything up. And the attack never came. Nobody had a bad word to say about it. In fact, people messaged me afterwards and were like, that's badass, man. Fucking good job. And I was like, what? What? This doesn't happen. People don't do this. This doesn't exist. What are you talking about? I just cried in front of you and you're like, good job. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. But I think that those are important for everyone, especially the faith aspect. And like we sit on different sides of the coin. You're very religious, you're very God focused, whereas I'm more spiritual in energy. But when, I've had long chats with, I'll give some praise to Craig, long chats about religion and how our belief systems work in together, our faith systems, not belief systems, sorry. When we really boiled it down, we were both like, we kind of believe in the same thing, just in different ways. Like it's the same, just different tellings. And, my release is releasing the energy and cutting the ties and being like, I don't need to have this on me anymore. and releasing it into the earth. But the way that, we can actually interact, you and I, Rick, and talk about these things and not be like, okay, well, you don't believe in what I believe in, fuck you. We can have a genuine conversation around it, which is something that I value an incredible amount. And I go out into the world and I think, hey, let's just have some good conversations with, and you'll bring up one topic and they want to argue that topic to the death. You're like, hold on, hold on, hold on. I've brought some new information in. Why don't you just bring some new information in too? We can have a discussion and let's reach a conclusion. We don't have to agree. No, fuck you. No, you can't believe that. You must believe what I believe in. So I value that a lot as well. But yeah, those two things, I think, not just for Enneagram 8s, for everyone, super important.
Yeah, you had a huge transformation this year, man. I want to get back into your part. You already know me, man. I could talk all day on stuff, but let's talk
Yes.
about your stuff. Like, you have been through quite the journey. And one thing we talked about this morning with the men's group is that how oftentimes we'll feel like we have it built right. And then something new will come up and you'll go, shit. Like
Mm.
that seemed important too, but I didn't build it for that. So now it seems like I built this tripod thing, but now I got this fourth leg, and so now I have to build a different kind of table. So, all right, all right, the pillars are different. All right, back to the drawing board. We got to take this all apart, rebuild the foundation for four pillars now, and let's build it back up. And a lot of times our guys are seeing that. Now, you've had to do that multiple times. You think, I feel like I got it pretty good. You'll test it, you'll
Mm-hmm.
push yourself, and you'll go, isn't working. Talk, and I'm like, do you have that part right there? And you'll go, well, no, I don't have that. I'm like, yeah, it'll fall over without that. You're like, back to the drawing board. So tell us about some of your adventures on that this year.
Yeah, so especially this year, I dived a lot into belief systems and my childhood trauma stuff. And there were several times where, like you said, you think you have it worked out, and then you just get punched in the face again. So it's like, I thought my childhood, first I was like, my childhood was great. Like, it was fine. It was fine. It was cool. Like, there were some bad things that happened, and I worked through some of the surface level stuff. And then, I think I mentioned it to you or somebody else, and I was like, I have repressed memories. I can't really remember a large amount of my childhood. And it's like, well, you should probably remember it and go into it. And when those memories started to come back up, I was like, well, actually, things were a little bit fucked up. And then I was like, okay, well, a lot of people's childhoods are fucked up. So I went into it, worked on it, knocked me out for about a week. But I went and did some CBT with you, and we kicked it in the ass. Then recently again, I thought I had all of that worked out, but I was doing actually. You brought it up in the program over the last couple of weeks, which is so funny. Where when you were in high school and you were friends, and then you realize that your childhood was a little bit more fucked up than most. And then I was actually talking to Phil, and I know he won't mind me mentioning this because it's Phil. But he had a pretty bad childhood. He had some serious battles that he went through, and so I opened up and I told him all of the things categorized, bang, 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 bang. And Phil's like, "Man, that's fucked up." I was silent. I'm like, "Actually, you're pretty right. I was still denying the amount of fucked up it was, and kind of just the things that the people around me did." And that's the thing that you're talking about, where you have one battle that you think that you've defeated it, and it'll come back up again, and it'll come back up again. But that's the journey, that's the nature of healing. And those moments are actually some of the benefits, because you can go, this is subconsciously what's still been holding me back, and I can let go of that now. I can actually do the work because I can see it now. I can pull it out, I can work through it, and I can be better, which is where we talk a lot about rock bottom. And people think rock bottom is a bad thing. Like when everything falls apart and you're like, my entire house is burning down, what do I do? That's not actually a bad moment. Fucking awesome moment. Because that's the moment that you can realize, hey, some of this shit is fucked up. And I'm going to build this house again better. and then be okay with the house burning down again. Because chances are the house in your head, it's going to burn down again. But you've got the tools to build back up faster and better every single time.
That's awesome, dude. And you're right too. That every new level reveals a new devil, which is
Mm-hmm.
because every time you leveled up, and this is where, like, again, I really give testament to the strength that you just brought to the table there. This is why we train, is because you're going to have to go to the next boss, and you're going to need all of the training that you did for the last multiple bosses that you beat. So you take all the tools and all the training and all the information you have from before, bring that to the new one. But just like any movie, you're like, this guy, for whatever reason, I can't beat him. I have to get over top and I don't have it. And then you'll come and hang out with someone like us, and they're like, did you try using your grappling hook? And you're like, oh, what? You're like, oh, yeah, you need the grappling hook to get over the top, and then you can hit him in the soft spot. I don't have one. Well, let's get you one and train you how to use it. Just like any video game or something like that. Like, all right, now I've got the grappling hook, the heat ray, and I've got the spike thing, and then I've got the power blast. And they're like, but this guy, he's made out of fire. Heat ray doesn't work, and he floats, so the spikes don't work, and I can't get over him because he's fire. And so, what am I supposed to do? And you're like, well, you have to do the freeze ray on that guy. The what? Yeah, these fire. You gotta freeze them, or you have to use water attack. Do you have either of those? No. And I'm like, well, we better get you some new tools. Every new level is gonna bring a new boss, a new devil, and you gotta keep
Mm-hmm.
training, but you still have to use a lot of your old things, and so they always come up. They keep coming up. You're gonna get challenged over and over again. Doubt and fear, it keeps coming up. All these things happen over and over again. So it's not about like, did I beat it forever? It's like, no, am I just capable of beating it every time it shows up? And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I like that you talked about rock bottom. Oh man, what was your biggest rock bottom? That big existential change for you? That one where it's like, what I'm doing, I can't continue, and it's time to change. What was like your big aha?
There's actually been a lot, which I'm 25 and I've experienced a lot of rock bottoms for 25. I'd say there's two. There was the one when I was 18 and the one when I was 22, 21, 21, 21, right? So 18 was sort of the biggest shift where I had a parasite and no doctor could diagnose it. And I was also having a mental break at the same time, if I'm completely honest. And I didn't want to live. I was just coasting through every day. I was sleeping 18 hours a day. The parasite was destroying my intestines, and I was pooping probably like 8, 9 times a day. Some doctors thought it was Crohn's, blah, blah, blah. Um, and that was the first moment where once I got better from that, I was like, I have been given a new lease on life. I was ready to die. I was ready to leave. And I would have probably done it myself if I had what was going on in my head. And from that moment, I was really scared to actually leave the house, talk to people, interact, do normal human things. But because of that new lease on life and that I was like, I need to actually do something here, I went out straight away and started doing hospitality. And then I went and did door-to-door sales. Because I was like, look, if I'm scared of talking to people, if I'm scared of being out in the world, let's put myself in situations that are so uncomfortable that I need to learn these skills again. Because I had lost all of those skills. And it wasn't just from being sick, it was from really intense bullying during high school as well, where I was having suicidal thoughts. I was wanting to kill myself. And it's funny that I'm admitting it on a podcast because I haven't admitted that to many people. Yeah, that was the first rock bottom. That was the first really big, like, I need a change. And there was a minor one around 15 where I started doing PT work. I started to work on things, but that was the big shift. After that, though, I got really heavily into drugs and alcohol. And I was just an addict through and through. Like I was hated myself so much that I needed to medicate to feel okay. And it was if I wasn't smoking weed or taking coke, fucking snorting coke, or taking MD every day, I didn't feel like I was being me because the me that I was most of the time, I fucking hated. So I needed to be more than me, and these substances helped me to either numb or do that. And the next really big rock bottom moment was I'd cooked myself out on so much MD every weekend, partying all the time, rocking up to work, fucking on coke, that I gave myself serotonin syndrome and I started to just shut everyone out. I shut everyone out. I actually had an acid trip during that time as well, which is the worst I've had in my entire life, where not only were all the chemicals in my brain depleted from all these substances, I was sitting there and my friends were drinking and everyone turned into demons right in front of my eyes. And I was like, in that moment, I thought, these people are 4 and 5 years older than me. Is that who I want to be in 4 years? Do I want to still be doing this? Do I still want to be that person? And the answer was no. And then I think it was like a week later, I quit weed, never smoked weed again, stopped taking a lot of those substances, and went on a journey over that next year of really trying to discover myself and build myself back up. And that's how I got into biohacking as well, trying to replenish the chemicals in my brain. And the big shift then was when COVID hit. So I think COVID was a year or a year and a half after that. And that time to myself, those 3 months, I'd cut everyone out of my life. And what I did was I just focused on me. I worked out every day. I ate perfectly clean. I was journaling every day. And that was the biggest rock bottom. That was the biggest shift where I completely changed as a person. And I managed to get rid of a lot of the anxiety and depression that I was feeling. And I had a positive energy that flowed through every single day. Those two biggest rock bottoms.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, dude. You're a warrior, bro. Here's one thing that's interesting about that. It's interesting that during your acid trip, like you recognized everybody turned into demons, and you could recognize that you were in a mindset of just hating yourself so much that you have to find any way to not be with yourself. And it's
Mm-hmm.
ironic too, that confidence at the time to be able to actually like end it in that moment, because like if you were really confident you probably would have. And so it's part of the growth that you had to go into, where you hated yourself, you were not confident, you were trying to get out of your own skin, and you were hanging out with demons.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of amazing how good you are at what you do when you help people, when you actually lived in hell for a while and you were in hell. And we got like, I remember even walking out with you. We went in, I went in to get you. I'm like, we're not staying here, bro. We're not. What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing in this place? And you've been already like navigating your way out. You were already like, I'm fighting to get out, and you had a few other things holding you down. I'm like, no, no, we can beat those ones together. Doubt was still trying to keep you there. Like you had
Mm-hmm.
ones that were holding you in, and it's awesome to be able to fight with you to get out of there. What do you think your opinion is of how strong people are who actually fought their way out of hell and then they teach others to get out, versus people who read the book on it and they have a theory? What's your thoughts?
I don't think they even compare. Like you can't relate or empathize or really know a person's situation unless you have gone through the same. You can have an abstract understanding of their situation if you've read the book. You know, you can try and create it in your mind and try and live through it and experience what they're experiencing, but you're never going to quite hit the mark. If you have actually gone through the pain and been like, hey, I've been where you've been, I've come out of that. So let me teach you the exact steps that I took, and you can do the same. You just have to put in the work. Is far more powerful than like, well, you know, this with this, and then you have to do this because of this, and this is your diagnosis. And no, man, like I've been there. Fucking let me show you the way.
It'd be ironic to say, because you've gone through so much with drugs to get you off, you know what you need? More drugs. Just different ones. Let's medicate you so you can deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I
Yep.
wanted to, we'll go right full circle. Let's go back to that diagnosis again. Here's another thing too. Ironically, that when you were going through this, you actually went face to face with death. Like you faced your
Mm-hmm.
mortality. Like I would kill myself if I had the confidence to do so.
Mhm.
You faced your death, and then because you went face to face with death, isn't it ironic how much that led to you fully embracing and living life? Do you
Yeah.
think there was a correlation with a recognition of how close you were to seeing mortality versus like how much you were taking for granted the minutes and hours you had?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I know the answer you're looking for, but I don't think it's actually the answer. Like my answer is not that answer.
Give me the
Um,
answer.
the thing with that is that's when I got in touch with my faith. It was that near death experience, not just with the suicidal thoughts or actually trying to do it, or it was about a 2 year journey with the parasite where I was physically ready to die from a medical condition as well. That's when I got in touch with faith. That's when certain things started to happen around me, and I was like, there is something else here, 100%. And that's what really gave me that new lease on life. And I don't fear death anymore because I've looked death right in the face. I've been like, well, I can go there. And I believe in reincarnation as well. So this is only one reincarnation. So once I go through the journey and the process and the learning that I need to in this life and do the thing that I need to do, time to fire it up again. Start a new life in a video game. Let's go.
It's interesting that you have a faith like that says there's something here, there's something more. And I was just thinking when you said the reincarnation and you like reset is like I'll just come back. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the difference on that is, just changing it from reincarnation to a resurrection. I still get another life. Let's restart another one. Let's do a different thing. I don't know if there's really that much of a difference except for just the explanation for, well, this is how it works, which is, of course, people just making up what they think that is. But isn't it just coming
Mm-hmm.
back again? Either way, whether
Pretty
it's
much.
resurrection or it's reincarnation. Like, well, I get another shot at something else and a different environment as a different thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
I agree.
wonder, seems like it's like the same thing. It's just people go like, well, I want to be a fucking butterfly or a lion. You're like, I'll just
Mm-hmm.
come back as a better version of me.
Pretty much. Like,
Well, it's
you
just a
sparked in me
transformation.
that even in our lives, like we can choose to be resurrected within our lives, and within being alive within this one life. So it's like you can decide, do you want to be resurrected as a new person now? You're not locked into all of these old beliefs and all of these old childhood traumas and all of these old generational curses. You can resurrect multiple times without that spiritual aspect. You can just do that as long as you put in the work. Like you can decide who you want to be. But on the actual meanings of the words, don't the words mean the same thing?
It seems
Like,
like it's pretty damn
yeah,
close. It's an interpretation thing at that point.
yeah.
Yeah. I was just looking at the correlation on that, how like you're like, I believe there's something grander out there, something out there, there's something there.
Hmm.
And reincarnation and resurrection seems like it's pretty damn close if you try to explain them both.
Hmm.
Just saying, just saying. This is why I don't get too upset with people with their faith stuff, because a lot of times it ends up corresponding, or it's one of the things where, like, well, I believe in the law of attraction, or the law of vibration, or magnetism, or dream boards, and mantras, and journaling, and fake it till you make it, and you name it. Pick anything. I don't care what manifestation style you use. I just go right to prayer for me because I'm like, well, you can still use all of the other tools. You can still use meditation. Also, you can still do all of those because I think big guns made them all anyway. So pick which tool you want to
Hmm.
use. What do you think he didn't know about law of attraction? You think he's like, oh shit, did I make that? Is that? Oh, I didn't mean to make that. What is that? No, he's like, that's one of the things that he made. Use it.
Hmm.
It's part of it. Use all of it. Use every one of them if you want to. It's the same thing. So
And
I
uh,
don't have an issue with that stuff.
I believe the same. I like you could categorize me as new age or spiritual, but I'm more like functional spirituality or secular spirituality, some people call it. where it's sort of a cross section of multiple religions and multiple beliefs, and it's what I experience and what I choose to believe, and the things that I think and experience to be real. But I still pray. I don't have to be Christian to pray. Sometimes I'll still be like, hey, God, give me some more wisdom, or I need a new challenge, which is what caused me to bring up the challenge that we were talking before from just a couple of weeks ago. I was like, bring it on. I was like, I haven't had a challenge in a while. I've been good for a couple of months. Like, bring it on. Give me my next challenge. And Big Man was like, here you go. Fuck you. Deal with
I,
this.
it might feel like fuck you, but it's more like your wish is granted.
Mm-hmm.
So we just feel like it's fuck you, but it's really like, oh yeah, you're ready for the next one? Like, I'm ready. I feel very trained. He's like, and unlocking pressed nightmare memories. Go.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, this feels like fuck you. Oh no, you just prayed for it. Your wish is
Mm-hmm.
granted, man.
Hey, the fuck you was nice. You know, like whenever you really break my system down, I'm like, fuck you, Rick. It's that kind of fuck you.
Oh,
Where it's like, I
it's
know
like
I
an
asked for this.
endearment. It's a term of
It's an
endearment,
endearment, yeah.
right? That's the tough guy's version of I love you.
Mm-hmm. You forget I'm Australian, so a bit of a language barrier, yeah.
I'm like that really hit me in the heart. Thank you. Fuck you too, bro.
Yeah, fuck you, man. Fuck you.
No, it's pretty awesome, man. It's good to hear the way that we can also relate on multiple different points of view, but still come to the same. Like, you know what? I respect that, and I can appreciate where you're coming from on those things, even though it's not called the same. It's still very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I don't understand the actual judgment system or what the measurement system is at the end of it. I don't know. So for me to try and go against Jesus and think I can just judge everybody, I can say whether you are good, you're bad, you're going to heaven, you're going to hell, you're going to be burned or whatever. I don't even know what the criteria really is. And people are like, it's in black and white in the Bible. I got my Bible. I got one here. I got one here, and I've got one back there, all different translations, so I can cross reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, there's like thousands of rules in here. Um, I don't even know how they're measuring. There's like all sin is the same, and I'm like, that can't be right. But I don't know if it's a tally system, and if it is, then maybe all sin is the same because it's just like bad, good, bad, good. They're like this guy killed somebody, bad, and this he hid his brother's shoes and he couldn't find him and he didn't tell him. Oh, that's not nice, bad, and
Bad.
like wait, murder and hiding shoes is the same? Like it's just under bad. And they're like, this guy just saved the city. That's good. And he gave somebody $1. Good. Those are all the same.
It's it's bananas. It's bananas. But just
I don't
I
know.
think judgments in general are bananas. I'm gonna tell you something bad about you or judge you so that you change yourself because of that thing or you feel bad. Like,
Uh-huh.
what are you actually trying to do behind that judgment? Like, I get called weird at least 3 times a week, and like, when you really actually like boil that down behind it, what they're saying is like, I don't think that you fit into my view of the world or what I think is normal, so you're weird. And I'm like, great, because if you thought I was normal, I'm not wrong. Like, I'm
Right.
not being authentic. I'm not being me. I'm gonna try and base who I am off what you think I should be. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Not gonna happen.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. People throw rocks at things that shine.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you're different. I'll judge it. Wouldn't it be even weirder if people were walking around and going, hey, you're normal. Hey, you're normal. You're normal. You're average. Just right. You're normal. I think it's one of
Mm-hmm.
those things where if you're normal, nobody says anything. You don't even get noticed.
Mm-hmm. You're invisible. But the interesting thing is, we all do this all the time, every day. And this is anyone watching, I challenge you. This is a very hard exercise. Try and pay attention to the thoughts you have when you're looking at people throughout your day. See the comparisons that you're making, watch the judgments that you're making of other people, and just take note of how you're experiencing the world. and how you're judging them based off what you think they should be.
And past
Now,
experiences and assumptions
hmm hmm
and fears.
hmm and then you can start to really pick out, like, hey, this is my biggest judgment. Probably something you need to work on within yourself.
Oh, for sure. My Myers Briggs people that they have a J in their Myers Briggs, I'm like, whew, catch that J. That J's gonna get you. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna tell everybody they're good or bad. I don't like that, or they should change, or they should. And I'm like, oh, careful, you're shoulding all over yourself again. Don't do it. And I always laugh because like I've had people even cast judgments. Like our comment section is pretty big, and so people cast judgments all the time, and it's really funny. I remember we went live one time, and a guy was like, "You're not a real psychologist, and you don't know shit if you don't, follow Carl." And I'm like, it's really funny that you came in with like, "You don't know shit, and you're not a real psychologist" judgment. When one of
hmm
my favorite Carl Jung quotes is that thinking is hard. That's why people judge. I was like, it's ironic. It's ironic that you would start off judging somebody when like the person you're being like, that's the measurement, is like, don't judge people.
hmm I love it,
Thinking is hard, so we judge instead.
but people do that all the time. All the time. They'll like quote people, or they'll say, modern philosophers say this. And it's like, you, who? Who says this? You're just creating a red herring. Like, I was in a conversation the other day where someone's like, oh, modern philosophers say that computers and technology are the reason that we're all so individual and secular and we're so selfish. And I'm like, oh, that's an element, but you're really like reducing the question. You're actually, it's one of the pieces, but we have to look at all of the pieces as a whole to actually come to a conclusion. And you're just pointing out saying, hey, this is that one thing. And I'm like, if you really want to get into philosophers, like, let's talk Zizek. Even though he has some bad views, we can talk about late stage capitalism, as well as the over commodification of a person and all of our actions representing its value. And they're like, yeah, well, that guy that you're talking about, he's just come up with that argument because he's showed that it's computers that did it. I'm like, what? I'm like, you've got no fucking clue who this person is. So it's just like, by the way, what's the philosopher we're talking about? And you could watch the oh shit just come on the face, like, fuck, they caught me. They
Their
know that
name is
I'm
their
making up some
name is
bullshit.
modern philosopher. That's their name.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
you're being because of computers.
Yeah, computers, it's the evil. It's the evil that has caused everything.
Yeah, people definitely were not power hungry, self centered, greedy. They had none of that before computers. It is computers. People were
Mm-hmm.
actually, it was like paradise on earth before computers.
Yeah. People were nice.
Everyone was nice. Nobody was mean.
Yeah.
There was no
Oh,
war, no
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 one murdered.
hardships, no murders,
No. No.
equal rights.
Yeah.
Ever better before computers. It was all better.
Mm-hmm.
What a
In
weird
fact, I think we
argument.
should just destroy it all.
What an interesting argument. It's all computers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different problems. It's just each era has their own thing. Each era has a problem, like major problems, and ours is how to cope with like the type of technology we have, and not only that, the abuse of technology by the people who control it. So there's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that going on where it gets a little more heated, but that's just our era's trial. That's our turbulations. This is or tribulation. This is our things that we have to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And so each one had a thing, whether it's a world war, whether it's, a super entity or a superpower falling apart, like, fall of Rome or, America, how that's going. Like, there's a whole lot of things where it's like, oh man, each generation is going to have its own thing they have to figure out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that just goes back to all of them. Each one had like, man, strange times. It's like, when wasn't strange times?
Mm-hmm. Always strange times. But then it comes back to, what choice are you going to make? One, are you just going to sit there and be angry about it? You're going to be blame it on these things? Or two, are you going to actually try and come up with a solution? Are you going to do something about it?
Yeah, I
How
see
are
what you're
you
doing.
going to craft your world
I
to be
see what you're
better?
doing. You're going back to these old philosophers. 3,000 years ago. I see what you're trying to do. You're Epictetus, you're Nero, you're Jesus, Marcus Aurelius, Aristotle, Socrates. That's what you're doing. All these guys who figure out all this, ask hard
You caught me.
questions of how are we going to figure it out. You know what the problem was with each one of them? It's easy. You know what it is? Computers.
What is it?
It was all computers.
It's all computers. All computers.
Social media. So funny.
Mm.
That's funny, man. I don't think I've been in a one of those conversations in quite some time, actually.
No, I count myself pretty lucky now, because that's the first time in a couple of months that it's happened.
Hmm.
Like, we have such an amazing group of people here in the program that it never happened.
Yeah.
People are willing to take on the ideas and have conversations, and even most of the people in my personal life are the same. They're actually willing to take on these ideas and have a conversation around it,
Mhm.
which I feel very blessed, and I'm grateful every day that that's the environment that I live in now.
Yeah.
Because I
Like,
know that for a long time I lived in the opposite.
yeah. So now you're with like people who believe in growth and believe in each other, accept
Hmm.
people for where they are in their journey, encourage people to do what their next battle is and go in with it. Want to support and encourage others to keep going even when it's hard. We'll even get in the fray with them. And yeah, go against all the like the social judgments and the social norms that we have that say you're supposed to be something else in order to fit in. You know what that makes you? Weird.
Hey, I'm happy to be weird then. Thanks.
Let's go.
Hmm.
Weird. If supporting each other and not having a system of blame, shame, and judgment to rule our lives so that we have to feel like we're not good enough all the time because we don't match up with somebody's opinion of what we should be, and we feel great and strong and help people and we grow and have just overall more peace in our life.
Hmm.
Let's be weird.
Let's be weird, man.
I am happy to be weird right now.
Me too. In fact, let's just take it a step further and say we're eccentric.
Oh yeah, we're very
Wait. Eccentric. Yeah, that's the word.
yeah. We're fringe outliners now. Now we're the weird weirdos. These guys
Hmm.
are actually happy, and they train people how to break their curses and beat things that are unbeatable, like bipolar disorder,
Pretty
like
cool.
ADHD, like anxiety,
Anxiety.
and like depression, addiction. Look at all the stuff that we've helped pull people out of, and have beaten them. Just in case they're wondering,
Hmm.
do we try and just patch it up? No, we have people who were addicts who are
Hmm.
no longer addicts. We have people who are emotional eaters, alcohol addicted, drug addicted, suicidal, depressed, all the way into apathy. We've had people who had no idea who they were. We've had extreme anxiety, panic attack anxiety, who are no longer on medication because they've been able to learn how to beat it. Like doubt gone, people starting businesses and following their dreams now and no longer making the excuses to hold them back or destroy their motivations. We've done quite a lot of stuff.
Hmm.
Glad to be weird.
Glad to be weird.
Awesome
Some
job.
pretty amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Testament to you, man. You have been pulling people out. You're about to start another alpha team. We got another
Hmm.
about to start. We got one more spot that I think just got filled, and you're about to start your next group, man. So pretty excited for you.
Amazing.
Another group that's starting up, and another group for
Hmm.
you to coach. So you've been doing some pretty big deals, man, and I'm pretty excited to showcase you and have some fun. And we were a lot more crass and careless on this one than we have when we're really going into battle.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Although
I've
my
seen you get
authenticity
killed.
is pretty crass.
Well, that's
So.
true. That's true. I think we both are. But as far
Hmm.
as I've seen you go into battle though and fight some dragons, man. I've
Hmm.
seen you go in and we've gone in together and killed some tough things together.
Hmm.
Like it's a testament to you. You were a
Thank you,
guy who
man.
was broken on the side of the road, about to fall for a misdiagnosis that would become your identity. And now
Hmm.
you are one of the toughest warriors that I know.
And all in 12 months. It's insane.
What a crazy
It's
year.
insane. I didn't believe that I could have gotten to this point at all. And
Super proud
it's
of you.
thanks to you, man. It's thanks to you. So thank you so much. Thank you for
Yeah.
going into the battles with me and pulling me out and being like, hey, did you know that you can just use a grappling hook? Like just go over the fucking top, man. And I'm like, okay, shit, that worked. All right, cool.
Let's get you a freeze ray.
Yes, yes. Laser beam, either one.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the next thing. It's the laser beam.
Hmm.
Proud of you, man. Good job, bro.
Thanks, man.
All right, let's get out of here. Awesome to hang. Let's do some more of these. And this
Mhm.
was cool, babe. I appreciate you very much. And if anybody made it this far, you're a legend. That's what they say in Australia, right?
Yeah, you're a legend. Yeah.
Legend. Yeah, if you made it to the end of the podcast, you're a legend. So thank you for
Or
being that legend.
or a good cunt, either one.
Whatever. I got so many
Yeah.
Australian terms to catch up on, man. We are way behind. I feel like you're trend setting. Like you're just way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, that's all of Australia, right? Like,
All
have
of
you
it.
seen our hairstyles? Like, come on,
I've
that's
seen
gonna spread to
Crocodile
the US
Dundee, and
soon.
I just wanted to be like that. So, I mean, isn't Crocodile Dundee like a national treasure?
Or really? Steve Irwin though.
Yeah,
Steve Irwin's a national treasure.
agreed.
Crocodile Dundee is just kind of like, yeah, it was a
You,
movie.
I don't
Same
know,
with
man. Pump
let
your
me let
brakes,
me just
bro.
break a lot of the Americans' hearts. Like Foster's beer, not Australian,
Really?
not Australian guys. Yeah, not
All
at
right,
all.
all right. Let's go ahead and get into some Australian stuff then. Okay. What is it? Funnel web spiders or Sydney spiders everywhere in everybody's shoes, right? In the laundry, they're everywhere, and they just kill you, right?
No, no, not in the shoes or anything, but they are in the trees.
Shit. All right.
But they
All
are
right. The
everywhere, especially
huntsman,
in
right?
the
Is that what
country.
they are? Is it huntsman or what is it called?
Yeah, they're the big ones. So
The
like
giant
that big.
spiders. And those are just in your
Yeah,
room. They just show up.
yeah, they're friends. They they don't hurt nobody. They're just a big friendly spider.
Mm, I don't know about that. All right.
But hold on, hold on.
Rockfish.
It's just all about how you look at things, right?
Sure, let's try it.
Like, what does the spider do?
It eats really annoying bugs, and then it bites you in your sleep. And then apparently you swallow a bunch. You swallow like 2,000 a year, according to just regular statistics.
Hey, extra protein.
Yeah, I
I
just
don't know about it, so
I think it's like eight or something a year or something.
uh,
I just obviously embellished. I don't know, man. Like that's spiders are tough. I know my our youngest daughter sure doesn't think they're very useful.
mm,
She scared the shit out of this shit out of her. I have to get so many spiders out of her room.
mm. Like, I think just once you realize the benefits, they're awesome, man.
I don't know. I'm worried about the benefits of a spider that's as big as your hand, just sitting on the wall.
Yeah, well, they don't bite you. So
Okay.
if they don't bite you,
Speaking of
what's
don't
the
bite you,
negatives?
those funnel web ones, those ones will bite the shit out of you. Speaking of
Oh
bite
yeah,
you,
those ones are dangerous.
yeah, I don't like those. All right, rockfish, real thing.
Real thing, terrifying.
Yeah,
Stonefish, fucking
stonefish,
terrifying.
and those are they're like every 10 feet in the ocean, right? They're everywhere.
Some places, yeah.
What a stupid animal. Why did we make? What is that? Why did like I got a couple questions. Like I got some stuff for God. I'm like, why did you make a fish that looks like a rock and you stand on it like it paralyzes you? Why did you do that? What
Some
was
people
that?
just,
What was that fish for?
man, it's their journey to be
Natural selection.
paralyzed.
God's like, I gotta have some natural selection here. Why do you think half of these creatures are more
Yeah.
powerful than humans?
What if it's just his entertainment? He's like, you just created these things because sometimes he gets bored.
More questions. Lead some more questions. All right, brown snake. Problem?
Brown snake? Not really.
Really? Because they're like in backyards and all kinds of shenanigans, and they bite the shit
Yeah,
like one
but
of the top three most poisonous snakes or something.
yeah, this is the thing with Australians. Like, we have an inbuilt danger meter,
Okay.
right? Like, you look at something and you can be like, that's fucking dangerous. I don't
Yeah.
go near that thing.
Right. Right.
And other things, you're like, I can touch this. It's all good.
Sure. All
Like
right. Widows, black and red, all over.
certain places. Not where I live.
Not where you live. Okay. I'll come visit your area. Because, like, the big
Hmm.
ones eat the little ones, right?
I think.
I don't know. You got the big ones, the huntsman ones, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if they eat other spiders though.
I think they're cannibals.
Well, in that case, that's probably why I don't have any, because I
Shh,
just let the huntsmans live.
I'd keep the huntsman around all day then, I guess.
Yeah, see,
All right.
exactly.
All
Anyway, we're
right.
off the rails. Let's end it. Yep.
Kangaroos. Kangaroos. Legit problem.
Oh yeah, they're actually a menace in
Re-
rural areas at least.
they hop around and just start messing up your shit.
They're fucking scary too.
Really?
Like, I was knocking doors one time, and it's this place called Bribey Island, which
Of
is a
course,
fairly
Bribey.
upmarket, like kind of retirement island type of thing. So there's a lot of old, but there's a big section of forest on it, and a lot of kangaroos live there. And there's a couple of different types of kangaroos. Like you got your normal kangaroos, and then you got your like roid, junky gym kangaroos.
I've seen
The
them.
scary thing
They're
is that they'll
huge.
just like they're fucking huge, and they'll just hop into the neighborhood. Like the forest is a kilometer away, and this kangaroo is just chilling in the front yard of this gated property with the gate open. And I'm trying to knock doors, comes out into the middle of the street and just sits on all fours. And he's chomping on the grass, and he stares at you, and he starts to creep towards you. It's kind of like, get the fuck out, get out of my territory. And it's like, man, I'm trying to get out of here, but you're in the way, and you're terrifying, and your claws can debowel me in one movement. Like, scary shit, scary shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's legit. Didn't know about all that. Trying to knock doors, about to
Mm-hmm.
get knocked out by a kangaroo.
Mm-hmm.
Hit hard too. I've seen those jacked ones, man. They look like they can bench.
They can box. They
They
can
can
box.
box. That's for
They can
sure.
box. Anyway, man. Yeah. Let's end it off.
All right, brother. It's good hanging out with you. We got some more battles to go into. I hope you have a good weekend. I know we go into war again coming up in this next
Mm-hmm.
group, probably as soon as like next week. So I'm looking forward to that, man. So we'll get together and let's go back into battle, man. All right, my
Cool.
brother.
Sounds good, man.
All right, I'll catch you soon.